Welcome back, 8th graders. So we're going to enter into our geometry, and our first couple or several lessons are going to be about 2D geometry. So geometry within the second dimension. So getting started, geometry is a lot of vocabulary. We're going to start with review stuff about angles that you should have learned in 7th grade. But we're just going to go over it because the book and myself is going to assume that you knew it, and because I don't like assuming, we're going to review it real quick. So, angles are formed when two rays share a common endpoint called a vertex. So here's my vertex, and I can draw two rays, and now I've created an angle. When we talk about angles, because remember we talked about how mathematicians like to shorten things because they don't like writing everything out. We draw an angle basically, and most people put an arc in their angle so that you know that it's an angle and not like a very slanted L or just some like we have the vector brackets that go like this. So we want to make sure that it looks like an angle, and so most mathematicians will put an arc through it, or you just see either one of those. Okay. An angle that measures less than 90 degrees is an acute angle. One way that I remember that is kind of like saying, "Aw, cute." Anything that's really tiny, like small puppies, "Aw, cute." So acute, so that's anything that's less than 90. An angle that measures 90 is a right angle. We denote that in an angle. So here I'm gonna do my best at drawing a right angle. Here's a right angle, and in a picture it'll denote it with a right or with a square. If the square is not there, you can't assume, because that could be a 91-degree angle, that could be an 89-degree angle. We can't just look at a picture and go, "Oh, that looks like that's a right angle." You either need to show that it's 90 degrees, or you need to see that square in your angle. An angle that measures greater than 90 but less than 180 we call I'm getting ahead of myself. We call an obtuse. I was being obtuse there. An obtuse angle. So those are our bigger angles. They're bigger than 90, but they're less than 180. And then an angle that measures 180 is our straight angle. And so a straight angle is basically a line. And you just put a vertex in there, and now I've created a straight angle because this is 180 degrees. All right, so that was just a quick recap on angle terms. So now, like other things about an angle, how do we name an angle? So you can name it by the vertex. So that's our middle point, right? And so I can name it angle P, or you can name it using 3 points. Now when we name it using 3 points, the vertex must be in the middle. And when you think about it, what you're doing is, so like if I name this Q, P, O, this is telling me start at Q, go to P, and then go to O. So that's telling me the direction, right? So we always want the vertex to be the middle letter. So I could name this QPO or angle OPQ. Either way, the P's in the middle. I cannot name this angle PQO. That's a no-no. Or angle QOP. Because those P's are not in the middle, those are not ways that you can name this angle. So these are the 3 different ways. Another way is if there was a number in here, so say like 1, then you could name it angle 1. I guess I forgot that because a lot of times they'll number the angles. All right, we're going to talk about how to measure angles. So what do we use to measure angles? We use a protractor. So when using a protractor, and I have several of these in the classroom, we line our vertex, here. So you're going to make sure that your vertex lines up in this kind of like a crosshair. And then either direction, but this bottom line is where you line up a ray. So you would line up either ray. Now, if you line it up with this one, then your angle should be coming this direction, right? But if we line it up with this one, then our angle is probably going the opposite from left to right instead of from right to left. It doesn't matter which way you line it up, whichever way is the easiest at the time, because if you notice, this protractor and most protractors have it measuring both directions. So here on top, they're going from left to right, but slightly smaller on the bottom, it's going from right to left. So you can measure it either way. All right, moving on. So now how do we measure an angle? So measuring angles. Let's say that I want to find the measure of angle CAB. I gotta make sure that A is my vertex. So CAB. So here's C, there is A, and here's B. So here's the ray that I'm worried about, because C should be at 0, and A is in the middle. So here's my ray, and it is going through at 20 degrees. So measure of angle CAB is 20 degrees. And just to pull some other stuff into that, that means that it is an acute angle because it is less than 90. If I do the measure of angle CAF. All right, so here is F, here's that ray. So from C, from 0 to F, that's 130 degrees. So I have 130 degrees. It's greater than 90, less than 180, so that makes this one obtuse. Now if I do the measure of angle CAH, H is all the way over here. So from C all the way to H is 180 degrees. So that's what we call our straight angle, because it creates that line there. And then if I'm finding the measure of angle CAE, here is E. So from C to E is 90 degrees, which is a right angle. So I could, or they could, put a square here to indicate that that is a right angle. But, I mean, we also have the degrees. So that is what our refresher on our vocab for angles, how to measure an angle, what a protractor is, and how to name your angle. In the next video, we're going to talk about a postulate and a couple other just review objects. So I'll see you there.